let's just nix the introductions and go straight into today's topic. I need your guys' help to reach 1K. I know, it's quite the statement. Some of you might ask, Noah, are you just saying this so you can reach affiliate? Well, yes. But it's also more than that. And a lot of it boils down to basic human psychology and goes a little something like this. It is just in human nature to flock to big numbers and lots of people. You know how when you're walking down the street one day and you happen to see a crowd, you get a voice in the back of your head that says, "Hey, what's everybody doing? Let's go check that out." It's the same principle here on YouTube. Now, it doesn't have to be a huge number, it doesn't have to be millions, but it just has to be enough. And I base this a lot around how I noticed how growth works on a lot of other forms of social media. Like I've mentioned before, I used to do art on Twitter. And I realized that Twitter and YouTube, the growth on there they're kind of different. One's a video platform, the other one's a image slash sharing platform. But the growth formula is fundamentally the same. Up to a certain point, it is very difficult for those with a smaller following to get more of a following. There's like a sort of no man's land, especially at certain numbers, and there's a certain threshold that you have to cross in order for things to get a little faster. And I wrote a little diagram this time around. This top section here is limbo. This is the most difficult threshold to move past. From 0 to 1,000, it is if you're in between those two numbers, it is very difficult to get anywhere. Now, your influence, your reach is very limited when you have small numbers somewhere in this range, and it's kind of a double whammy, because it's precisely because you're so small that makes it even worse. Because when you're small, people tend to think, whether it's consciously or not, oh, not a huge following, they must not be worth it. So because there aren't other people there, other people aren't showing up, and because they aren't showing up, other people on top of that aren't showing up, so on and so forth. It is an incredibly vicious cycle, and that's why it's so difficult to move on from there. However, what I've noticed is that anything above 1,000 increases the growth rate exponentially, and not just the number 1,000, but simply the 1K, the K specifically. It's more like in symbolic, showing that a lot more people are there than you might think. And I base this around my own experiences on Twitter. For a long time, but granted, when I first started doing art on Twitter, it wasn't very good. But I got better. I got more of a following. It took forever. Probably took me a whole 2 years to get to 1,000. But I noticed once the 1,000 was hit, my growth rate just shot the way the hell up. It's not that I did anything particularly good. It wasn't anything much better. I mean, my growth rate with how much I improved with my own work was incredibly slow. It took forever. But after I hit that 1,000, it didn't take very long at all for me to hit 10,000. Whereas before it was a 2-year journey just to reach that 1,000, it then became more like a 4-month journey. Once that 1,000 is hit, it becomes much, much quicker, which brings us to our next section, the established section. I didn't have a better word for it, so I just made it established. From the 1,000 to 10,000. Now, also, not all that easy of a threshold to pass, but at the same time, it is much faster than this is. And this is because you already have enough people. You already have that enough people in order for more people to flock to you. And it's not just because people are recommending you to their friends or anything like that. Hell, a lot of them aren't. The vast majority of them aren't. However, it doesn't matter. You've shown that you can gather people here reliably, even if it took you a little while. That means you can get more people on board. And as long as you're consistent with your content, then reaching that 10,000 isn't going to take nearly as long as this, realistically. Which brings us to the next section, which is the so on and so on, the 10K to 100K. It's even quicker, the 100K to 1,000,000. That's a little bit slower from the 10 to 100. It all depends on whether or not your work is worth a shit, or if you're keeping up the same quality, if you're improving, if you manage to be entertaining or informative or whatever else. 100K to 1,000,000, I can't really gauge that because I haven't really reached that far, but I can't, from what I've noticed and the people I've watched throughout the years, it's not incredibly difficult as long as you're maintaining a proper workflow. Right now, in order for me to realistically get anywhere, now I know I don't have much of a niche. I tried finding my niche. I thought it would be Lies of P at first, and don't get me wrong, those Lies of P is what kickstarted my growth. But at the same time, I don't know if anybody else has noticed, but there's been a significant drop off. It's been a pretty severe drop off in viewership. And it could be just because these next videos weren't as interested, even if they are admittedly more well edited. But it could also be just because I've done it before quite a few times. I like at this point, I count 10 runs I've done over the past month or so. So I tried moving on to other stuff, and of course, because the people who came to me didn't come to me for other stuff, they came to me for Lies of P. I was hoping it might be Elden Ring, but no, that's not it. Most of the engagement I got most of my immediate engagement were just people disliking my stuff and unsubscribing. So I guess it's not Elden Ring either. So I'm having a hard time trying to find my niche at all. But I feel like it'll be much easier if I have more variety in the people who are watching. And this is why I need your help to reach that K. Not only for my own growth, but simply to find who my audience is. Many channels on YouTube reach that K and above, but what nobody realizes and what nobody sees is because that there are many more. In fact, the majority of them don't ever get there, and that could be from a few things. It could be because not a whole lot of people haven't seen them. Their content isn't very good. It could be just because they got buried. Maybe they made a mistake. Maybe they weren't consistent. Who knows? But most of them don't want to get there. I am determined to not fall back like that because I will not let it go. I can't ask you to do anything that I haven't asked you to do already, but I do need your help in one way or another because this Novaride as a channel isn't going to go anywhere until I hit that K, until I get not just the number itself, but just so I can get that symbol of that display, that proof of that I'm capable of garnering that kind of audience. Because once people see that, they're going to be able to see that this channel and the content I can provide, it actually has some merit to it, which is going to compel them to stay, which will compel others to stay, so on and so forth. I'm not saying it's going to be a quick thing, but hopefully we could reach 1K sooner or later. I'm still not going to retract my goal of being able to reach 10K by May 22nd, but right now my immediate goal is just reaching that K. I'm gonna need that full G if we're going to get anywhere. Thanks for listening, y'all, and thank you to everybody who's helped me out so far. It's been a great help. I honestly can't believe that we've gotten to 550 something so far. It's crazy to me because I didn't think it would be this quick, even though I really hoped it would be. I never thought it would end this way, but I always really hoped. Thanks for listening, and like always, I'll see you in the next one. Bye!